Welcome back. I'm Matt with Aztec Tents. Today we'll be installing a 30 by 30 Festival Can W. Hey, before we get going, you need to make sure you do a site evaluation. You need to check for all overhead obstructions, which could be trees, power lines, could be flagpoles. Also, you need to check for underground utilities. Contact DigSafe at 811, as well as pull any required permits from your local municipalities. Let's talk about some PPE equipment. You have your hard hat, your eye protection, your ear protection, safety vest, gloves, and of course your steel-toe boots. Let's talk about the parts needed for the Festival Can T. You have your 9'3" perimeter pipe, your 8-foot legs, your 5-foot splices, your 30 by splices, your 30 by Can T mass, our Can T corner fittings, we have our Can T base plates, our 30 by can side tees, our cables, we have our 2-inch inline ratchets to secure the tent, our ratchet tensioners to secure the tent top, we have a sledgehammer, stakes to secure your tent top, we have a stake puller, drop cloth, our tent top, and of course our trusty jack. Hey, quick little note. Just want to talk about the difference between the 30 by 30 Can T and the 30 by 30 Can W. Basically, it uses all the same parts. Same perimeter pipes, same mass, same tent top. The only difference is the Festival Can W corner fitting, the Festival Can T corner fitting. As well as you change out the base plates. Now that we're familiar with the parts, let's get them all laid out in the correct location so we can start building this tent. Now that we have our tent laid out, let's talk about how the layout comes about. We're just going to show you one quadrant, and if you can get this quadrant down, the other three are the same. Start off here in a corner fitting, then we have our 5-foot splice into a 9'3" pipe into our Festival 30 wide side tee. Then we create our diamond shape. That also uses a 9'3" with a 30 by splice, then a 9'3" that goes into a Can W side fitting. Into a 9'3" brings you back to your corner. Then we have our leg and a base plate, along with a stake, 2-inch ratchet, and our tent top ratchet tensioner. Now let's talk about assembling this frame. A little different than traditional high peaks, which you start in the corner. It's essential that you start at the side tee and build your diamond first. Now that you have your inner diamond built, it's time to attach your cross cables. Keep in mind when you get to the fourth corner, you might need to lift your frame up to make it easier to connect that cable. Now we have our cross cables connected. Let's finish assembling this tent by starting here in this corner and working our way all the way around the perimeter of the tent, finishing up in this corner. Now we got the complete frame built. It's time to secure that frame before we start putting our tent top on. We're going to secure that frame by using a 2-inch inline ratchet and a 1-inch by 42-inch stake driven straight up and down all the way into the ground. We recommend this stake be 1 to 2 feet less than your leg height away from the frame. Now we got our stakes in the ground. It's time to get our drop cloths laid out over the frame so we can protect the tent top, and then we'll get the tent top stretched out and attached to the frame. Now we got our tent top secured to the frame, our 2-inch inlines attached to the frame. It's time to lift this tent. We've placed a tent jack in the middle of the 30-foot side. We're going to start by lifting up this 30-foot side and putting in the legs. We got our first 30-foot side now lifted. It's time to remove your drop cloths from the cables and insert your mast. You do this by removing the assembly cap at the bottom, putting the pin into the top, making sure the roller of the mast is on the top cable. Once the mast is in place, you reassemble the cap underneath. That way, if you get any cable deflection, the mast does not come off the cables. We now have our mast installed. It's time to lift the remaining of this tent. You're going to start with the opposite 30-foot side, lift that side up, put those 3 legs in, and then you put your last 2 legs in. Once that's completed, it's time to tension the top. Now that we got our tent completely stood up, it's now for one of the most important parts of your install, and that's tensioning your tent top. It's imperative that you use these ratchet tensioners and you put as much tension as you can on them. You want to make sure the rings are all coming together. This way you'll get a nice straight, flat valance, as well as it'll reduce any wrinkles in your tent top. This will give you the finished product you're looking for. Tent top's now secure. Last step is securing your inline ratchets to make sure your client's guests are safe. That concludes the installation of our 30 by 30 Festival Can T, Can W. If you have any additional questions, we have a ton of resource on our resource page, which can be found at www.aztectent.com. Or if you have additional questions, feel free to reach out to your RAM 24/7. Thanks for joining us. If you want to know how to take this tent down, all you do is play this video in reverse and you do a little dance.